Prior to Grief releasing, Treyarch vowed to update the mode constantly and be extremely receptive to community feedback to fine-tune Grief similarly to ranked play for multiplayer. Grief has been out for nearly 6 weeks and has received 3 major updates, so Treyarch has held up their end of the bargain in terms of trying to get the mode to a place where everyone can enjoy it while keeping things competitive. And much like every other aspect of Call of Duty Zombies, in that 6-week time span, there's been a ton of controversy surrounding Grief's mechanics and meta, with casual players wanting Grief to play like a fun party mode that they can hop on and play whenever they're bored of regular zombies, while the hardcore fans of the mode see Grief as the true competitive future for zombies that can rival the competitive scenes in multiplayer and Warzone. As someone who sees the potential that Grief holds both as a hardcore and casual experience, I've been very vocal about how I think the mode should play in both episodes of Berkaholics Anonymous podcast and over on my Twitter account. I feel like Treyarch has actually taken some of my thoughts and opinions into consideration when releasing the updates for Grief, so I wanted to make this video to really lay out the blueprint I have for the mode moving forward for the rest of this year and hopefully future renditions of the game, because the current state of the mode is not only not good, but it's rapidly dying based on how the lobbies are looking and the game is being played at the current moment. And I'm being so serious, it really is very close to being dead. Don't have the numbers, but I'm sure they'd support me. Lobbies are taking much longer to populate, with many games starting with less than 4 players on each squad. When searching for matches, you'll also likely to be filled into ones that are already going on with no compensation for falling behind essence or salvage wise. On top of all of that, the stability of the mode doesn't even seem to be in a great spot either, as nearly half of my Shattered Veil lobbies end early with the entirety of the lobby crashing. Now, I don't want this video to come across as me just tearing apart the mode, because Treyarch has made some excellent changes to the mode over the first 6 weeks it's been out, and I think it's a major improvement from the OG Grief back in Black Ops 2. They've been constantly looking for ways to make the Griefs more punishing, and have definitely done so. They've also reduced salvage drops, limited self-revives, and increased the amount of damage zombies deal to you in an attempt to make games finish faster, which really has worked. But for every good change they make, there's always one bad one that just eats away at the competitive balance of the mode. The first major topic I want to go over is how the melees have been handled. I know I've talked about these ad nauseum over the past few weeks, but I just need to get this off my chest one last time, and then I swear I'm done with it. When Grief first launched, the melees were really pretty overpowered, and I can admit that. You could stun players and stop their health regeneration with little to no consequences because the zombies played like they did in normal round-based. Now, with the first update, Treyarch removed the ability to stun players with the melees, which resulted in the average match time duration going way up. The second update saw the zombies' damage and speeds get buffed through the roof, which actually made the mode much more balanced, as the melees were still viable, as you could stop players' health regen and push them into hordes of zombies, but it came at a greater risk to the players using melees because zombies could now beat you down nearly instantly if you weren't careful. I think that update was the best spot the mode had been in balance-wise, as there was a good give and take. Now, with the most recent patch, Treyarch removed the ability for players to stop enemies' health regeneration altogether, basically rendering the melees useless. Like, you can still try to push enemies into hordes to down them, but this only works on the Helen Kellers that play the game mode, because anyone that is even average can just get away from you, and it puts the melee players at a severe disadvantage because that risk you're taking to get so close to them and staying right near zombies isn't worth it. In most cases, you're going to end up taking more damage not killing zombies and focusing on the other players than the people that are getting pushed into the zombies, because they can just slide away from you pretty much unimpeded. These changes to the melees really stem from online backlash from the casual player base of Grief that just sees this as a party mode, and Treyarch has given into the mob with pretty much every single update, nerfing the melees directly or indirectly. Again, I understand the mode needing to be balanced, but I thought we had that when they buffed the zombie damage. Taking the nerfs a step further to get rid of and stopping enemies' health regeneration completely changes how the entire mode is played. There's little to no influence you can have on downing other players, and in lobbies full of great players, it's essentially becoming 8-player high rounds. I don't want to spend the entire time crying about the melee, so we'll move on here, but the last thing I have to say is Grief is a competitive game mode. You cannot keep nerfing every strategy that good players find that gives people a leg up over the competition for the sake of keeping casuals on this game mode. Casuals are not going to stick with the mode regardless of if they get everything they want, and nerfing the strategies great players can use to roll other teams then pisses off the hardcore fans, because you're eliminating competitive aspects of the mode that those hardcore players who put tens of hundreds of hours into the mode mastered. The result of trying to please both sides by changing the core gameplay is exactly what we're seeing today, and something I have literally been screaming my head off over the past month about. Casuals are no longer playing the mode because they're casuals, and hardcore players have stopped playing because they've been boxed into a certain playstyle, which has in turn created a dying game mode. I obviously don't have the numbers, but just based on the lobby situation, I would really bet they're startlingly low. The way you can create a happy medium for each type of player without taking all the toys out of the sandbox is actually a really easy fix in my opinion. Treyarch, you guys need to create 3 separate playlists for this game. Regular, which has minimal restrictions for players that just want to hop on and have some fun. Private matches for players that see it as a party mode and want a spot to create some highlights with their friends. And a ranked mode that has heavy restrictions on Gobblegums, augments, etc. for the hardcore fans that want to grind the hell out of this mode. I understand that ranked and private matches will likely not be coming this year because of the development time that's going to need to go into them in order to create those playlists, but they need to be in next year if Grief is returning and you guys want to take it to the next level. Private matches, honestly, should be an easy fix in my opinion, considering they're in Warzone and multiplayer, and even though ranked might take some time, the SR and placement systems are already developed for Warzone and multiplayer. Again, I know it's simply not as easy as just converting it over to zombies, but ranked really does have a place in this game mode. This would allow for multiple cosmetic and Gobblegum rewards based on what rank you finish in each season, similar to multiplayer in Warzone, which would satisfy the need for rewards players have been asking for all year. Again, I know it's probably not as simple as copy and paste, but if Treyarch wants Grief to reach its full potential, both private matches and ranked play need to find a way in next year. The next point I want to emphasize on here is restricting more Gobblegums. I know they're probably really against any more changes than they've already made in the Gobblegum department because they want people to spend money in the store to get gums, but seriously, some of them are literally pay to win and it's not even funny. Hidden Power, Perkaholic, Raindrops, Profit Sharing, Power Keg, and Support Group, just off the top of my head, absolutely skew how this game is fundamentally played. You can save on so much salvage and essence by using some of these that you basically become a demigod for the first 20 rounds, which is all you really need to win. I get it that people are torching 10, 15, 20 bucks for a 30-minute play session of Grief, and it's a waste for them to even use those, but it's super annoying trying to come back from the players using those. You can't compete on early game zones if they break them out at the beginning of the game, and if players randomly break them out mid-match after going down a few times, they're literally not only back, but they're up against you in the fight. Not all gums need to be banned because some do provide some strategy that benefits the gameplay, but there's obviously a few in there, the ones that I mentioned earlier, that should have been limited from the start. The last thing I want to touch on this video before it gets too ranty are the whimsical rewards. Again, I really can commend Treyarch for listening to the community and trying to find ways to keep players both engaged in the mode and stop people from quitting, but be so for real, there's nobody, and I mean nobody, that wants whimsicals for finishing a game of Grief. Literally, if you guys just give the winning team 3 random gums and the losing team 2 random gums, I guarantee you'll see a massive spike in player count and people no longer quitting matches. I know it could create a situation where people are farming Gobblegums and Grief and don't care about winning, but me personally, I'd rather have a full stack of people competing for gums than randoms quitting on round 9 and getting left in a 2v1. Another great way to incentivize people to play Grief and stop people from quitting would be adding in win streak rewards. Obviously, you could hand out gums, XP, but even a skin for hitting like 25 game win streaks every season would be really, really nice. I think guys, I'm honestly done for now, guys. That's my rant. Thank you for listening. There's obviously a few more like smaller tweaks that I could make and talk about for this mode, but we'd be here for 30-40 minutes, and at that point it should just be another podcast episode. But I'm done talking about Grief. I'm done playing Grief right now until I start to fix some of these things or put some more effort into this, because I like where the mode was with the last update. We took a massive step back again with this most previous update. And now I feel like we're in a spot where reverting the melees back, even if you do that, it's not going to get casuals back in the game mode. I just feel like they kind of fumbled this mode a little bit. Obviously, there's still time to bring it back this year, especially when the new map drops. People want to play Grief on those new maps in that playlist. But then going into next year, if they bring Grief back like it's rumored, we have to make sure we're going into it with a good spot. And I feel like these couple of changes, which some of them are minor, some of them are very major, could be really beneficial for not only maybe this year, which I doubt some of these are going to be coming in like random or private lobbies and ranked play, but next year is really where you want to hit a home run with Grief. This has been a pretty solid alpha. I feel like they're live testing it, and this is just kind of their year to kind of nail down some of these mechanics. But moving forward, everything that I just ranted about needs to be there. And of course, there are some smaller things here or there, but I've tweeted out my thoughts there. I've talked about it on the podcast. I don't want it to get too ranty, so we're going to cut it short there. But I really do feel like Treyarch is right there with Grief and has the potential to make this mode so good. I don't want it to die off completely and then we lose it for another decade and only get round-based or Outbreak moving forward. I really feel like Grief has a place in the Call of Duty Zombies canopy, and in my opinion, this should become a staple thing that we see every single year. Hopefully Black Ops 6 is just the ground floor, like I said, for the mode, and they continue to improve upon this going into next year, but I'm getting nervous that if that player count is getting really low and doesn't come back up, Activision's going to pull the plug on the development for this, and it's just going to become another what-if game mode. But that's all I've got for this today. Let me know what your guys' thoughts and comments are on Grief moving forward here. I don't know if we'll get an update this week or if we won't get one until, maybe next week or the following week, or maybe not until Season 5 here. But let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this in the comments below. Hope you have a good day. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Stay safe, stay hydrated. Peace.